Welcome to the Becoming Sovereign podcast put on by Sovereign. I'm your host, Brandon Karpeles. And to start the show, I'm going to do something a little different today. And it's, we've been doing this show for almost over a year now. We're up on Fountain. We post to Nostr. And also, I have been outspoken about the value for value verse. I've talked to a lot of guests about it and how important I think it is, and also how difficult it is to get people to contribute to the value verse. And we've gone back and forth. I think it's something like 4% of artists or authors, fans support 90% of their finances or something like that. And so when you enter into a space like Bitcoin and Nostr even more so, it becomes difficult to quote unquote monetize things on the value for value space just because there's so few people here. And I think a lot of people get frustrated that Bitcoiners are cheap or Bitcoiners don't want to spend their sats. There's a hint of truth to that, and it is a generalization. But I think a bigger part of it is just the fact that there's so few people here and we're such a small group. And then even 4% of that group is such a small number of people, but it's really difficult to be pulling from such a small pool and then get 4% of those people to support your work. When you're pulling from 8 billion people, it's much easier to get a bigger audience and then have a small percentage of that group fund you as a band. There's lots of bands no one's ever heard of. They make plenty of good money going around the country playing smaller venues and that sort of thing. There's plenty of authors no one's ever heard of. There's plenty of Substack writers no one's ever heard of. But it's because they have a TAM, if you will, an audience that they can pull from of such a higher amount of people. And so as someone who does want to participate in the value verse, someone who sees a future in the value for value verse, I have been lacking in helping to promote that on this show. People zap this show, people send sats over Fountain, and to date, I've never read one person out. I've never shouted anyone out. And who better to do it with than our guest today, who is highly involved, and I will introduce him in a sec, who is highly involved in Nostr. And so I thought today would be a good day, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to go through, I don't know, the last 7 or 8 episodes and just read off some names of people that have zapped or boosted, rather, over Fountain. And I'm not going to go through all the zaps either. Going forward, I will do that, though. And I'll have to figure out the cadence because we do release these episodes the following week or even sometimes 2 weeks after. So when I'm recording it, it might be different than when the last episode was released. So I'm going to have to figure all of that out as I go and what's the best way to do that. But for this week, I'm going to read the Fountain boost for, let's see here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the last 8 episodes. So I'm going to go back to the Bitcoin Supper Club episode I did, the Fork and Coin episode with Foyz, who is the chef over at the Bitcoin Supper Club. And from that episode, Sats Oil zapped us 1,000 sats, and Alice A zapped us 199 sats, and said, glad to learn more about the Chicago Bitcoin Collective, appreciate their Nostr updates, excited to see the future of Fork and Coin collaborations with BTC merchants. So thank you, Alice A. Thank you, Sats Oil. And I apologize. I'm going to kind of run through these. And in the future, I'll give more attention to them, talk about them, that sort of thing. And the next episode after that was the one I did with Brian Hirschfield, a.k.a. Fundamentals. And on that episode, we received 1,333 sats from Odie, the GWJW. He said, great episode, guys. Additionally, we received 840 sats from Code 27, and I just want to send an extra shout out to Code here. Code, I have no idea who you are. If you ever see me in person, please introduce yourself. Code has been listening for a long time. He almost always boosts the show, and I really appreciate you, Code, whoever you are. I would love to meet you in person, or please I follow you on Oster. Please feel free to reach out to DM me or anything like that. I really appreciate your support. And then the next episode was The Perfect Money with Keith Gardner. We had 100 sats from BTC on board, and he said, or she said, love Branta. So thank you, BTC on board. Then the one with Seth from zap.cooking. We got 100 sats from a fountain user I do not recognize. They just have a username. Excuse me. It is BTC on board again. So thank you, BTC on board, for the 100 sats. Then I had an episode with Adam O'Brien from Bitcoin Well, and we received 321 sats from Rev Hodl. And Rev said, here's another podcast which finds the intersection between seeking freedom and sovereignty through wielding capital that is rooted in truth, Bitcoin and spiritual capital. Is there something to the omniscience of Bitcoin? And again, that's the kind of comment where I would have spent a lot more time in the future dissecting that. Thank you, Rev. I have 8 million thoughts on that, and thank you for that. So we also received 876 sats from Pleb to Polymath at Fountain FM. So thank you, Pleb to Polymath. There was no note on that one. And then the next one was my episode with Daniel Prince, and we received 321 sats from Rev Hodl again, saying, as usual, Plebeian, that's me at Master, drives an incredibly interesting conversation. I almost skipped this one because I've heard Daniel Prince on the Once Bitten podcast for years, but I'm glad I didn't. Hashtag 40HPW. So thank you again, Rev. And I actually went back and listened to that episode, and I realized I did way too much talking, and I texted Daniel and I told him that. So Princey, if you're listening, I already apologized to you, but I'll apologize again. We'll have to do a recording where I actually let you talk. So apologize to the listeners too. That was not very good podcast hosting. The next episode we have is with Bitcoin Beans and Steve from Bitcoin Beans, and Sats Oil sent us 500 sats, and Alice A sent us 398 sats. And let me see, Sats Oil says, huge respect for Bitcoin Beans and the journey that led him from a corporate career in London to building something real through Bitcoin, permaculture, and food. Leaving the comfortable path is never easy. Bitcoin may be what brought many of us together, but it's the people, craftsmanship, and proof of work behind real products that keep me inspired. And boy, isn't that the truth. Thank you, Sats Oil. I mean, you live that out yourself, so thank you. And Alice A said, loved the foodie talk. I almost regret going out to eat. Almost always regret going out to eat. Me too. I ate plant-based for a long time, then rode the low-carb keto meat wave, and now I'm transitioning back to plant-based. Been doing a lot of fruit, seasonal, but my body is not tolerating it well. Yeah, Alice, I would love to talk to you more as well. And yes, the plant-based diet, I was shocked to hear that Steve from Bitcoin Beans did that. But to each their own. I can't imagine living that life. And finally, last one. This was the last episode I did, and because it just posted this week, there are no boosts on this one, which is why I'm kind of saying I'm going to try to figure this out as we go, what the best timing is. Maybe I'll delay a week and read from 2 episodes ago, and maybe that's just the best way to do it, or depending on the release. So thank you for everyone that boosted in. I'm going to make that a much bigger focus of mine going forward. So without further ado, thank you, Eric FJ from Conduit Market, for sitting through that. I hope if there's anyone that could appreciate me doing that, it's you. which is why I subjected you to it, because some of the other guests probably would not be so interested in me taking their time to do that. But I figured you would appreciate it. You're the
Oh,
first
dude.
returning guest, so we have spun the wheel and we're back to go. So Eric, thanks for coming on, man, and thanks for sitting through that.
Oh man, like it's an honor. That's why we do what we do here. This technology is so incredible, and I had no idea actually that were going to do this and read these boosts like that. I can't imagine how much support you're going to get after the fact. Now that people like you were already getting awesome boosts from a bunch of good folks there. Now I go to the V4V podcast a lot. When I boost one, I go to the next episode so I can just hear someone read it and interact with me, and that's the magic that we have here. That someone else, doing I don't know what you call them, Web 2 podcasts. They can't even have that, right? Because they don't have micropayments. If they do, I think they're really lame and they're fiat, and so it's not as cool as like me sending something directly to you. And I don't think they have like micropayments plus comments, so they don't have that the potential for that instant feedback. That's the magic of the tech that we have, and the fact that you're, I didn't even know you weren't leaning into it. So your podcast is already incredible. Now I think you just leveled up hugely, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, hand up. And in all honesty, I thought about it from sort of a marketing standpoint, and hey, could we and I love what Rev and Reed are doing over on Local Bitcoiners. They're making a game out of it, and that's really cool. And I love that idea, and I think it's awesome, and I think it's going to work out well for them. But I really just approached it, and maybe I'll get to that too one of these days. We'll see. But I just honestly felt like I was, from a sort of an ethical standpoint, I was letting people that contributed value to the show down by not sending the value back to them and not acknowledging them. So I appreciate everyone that did that. I couldn't go back and do all the episodes. I tried to get a decent recent chunk of some good episodes and some good boosts. So thank you everyone that's boosted along the way. There have been some people over the year plus of doing this that have sent some very nice zaps and some very nice notes and some very nice boosts. And so thank everyone that has done that, and hand up on me for not acknowledging you back on this program. I have a microphone, I have the show, I should be acknowledging you guys. And if we want the value for value verse to succeed, it's going to take more of that, as opposed to just kind of silently accepting the signal that someone else is sending you. It's at least nice to acknowledge it back. And I don't know where it ends. It's always like when you get the thank you card for a gift you sent. Like, do I have
We
to
just
send a
just
thank
keep
you
sending
for
it back in
Yeah,
circles,
right.
man. Like we just keep flowing it. It's going to be, a circular economy just amongst ourselves. Just send the sets back and forth. It'll look great that way. I think that's also how we get about, what was that number you said, 4%?
4%. That's what I heard. I haven't necessarily.
Those are fiat numbers. I think with our with our tech and also the fact that value flows both ways in this, I think we can get above 4%, because this is way more interesting. 4% was like, they get nothing out of that other than the content. I mean, look, you're already publishing the content, right? So people are appreciating you for it. You don't like technically owe people anything, but it's really nice if you do, and I think it enhances the experience. It enhances that like two-way community. They know it's for real because it's your NPub, it's their NPub, because they're having that interaction that's only possible with this technology. But it's better if you circulate it around, and I think we can get above 4% for sure.
I totally agree. And there's something also connecting about the technology, about that you are NPub to NPub, that you are able to, as opposed to maybe like commenting on a Substack, or I'm a huge Widespread Panic fan, just an absolute psychopath. I've been to well over 100 shows, maybe even close to 200 at this point. I have no idea, but I've never met anyone in the band. I've never had a relationship with them. I don't have a phone number, but I've bought I've spent a lot of money on them, but I have no connection to them at all, nothing. And I really appreciate their music. I think it would be cool to talk to John Bell, who's the lead singer, or Dave Schools, who's the bassist, and just pick their brain on their past and hear stories and everything. But I never get to do that. Like, that's just not
Right.
going to be possible. And to have that connection with people who are listening, I don't even want to call them fans, just like appreciators or people wanting to get information or listen to something that's different than they're used to.
And that's one of those things about Nostr. It's like, is it a feature? Is it a bug? I'm not going to give my NSEC to a bot or give it to someone else to manage my account, right? Because I value it and also like can't change the password. So when I'm interacting with somebody that has an NSEC, I know it's really them, or at least I'd be reasonably sure. You know, they might use some other NSEC to, you know, manage their promotions or whatever. But that one that they use themselves, that's really them. So if I get an interaction with them, let's have like a built-in assurance that it was really them, and I'm really interacting with the person that I think I'm interacting with. I think a lot of the old school, I'll call them legacy platforms, can't have that feature, right? If I'm interacting with somebody on one of their channels, I'm not sure, is it really them, or is it somebody that they've hired to manage it, or is it a bot? Is it like, you know, they have all these features, right, that can be used to, you know, securely share that account and you know, use it in many ways. We have the limitation that, like, you know, hold your own keys, but I think that limitation also has some power in that there's that verification that that's the real person you're talking to. You know, I'm a huge Lynn Alden fan, because she interacts with something, you know, that I've posted on her, like a comment, and she likes it. I'm like ecstatic. Like, that was really Lynn Alden, like hitting like on my comment or making a comment back to me. It's like, oh man, that's so much more cool.
Yeah, then potentially just some account handler or something like that, or
Yeah, exactly.
whatever. Yeah, it's really cool. And like I said, I won't belabor the point, but I just felt like I owed it to the people that were contributing to this show. And thank you so much. And yeah, so with that, Eric, I know we had talked and you said you got a bunch of new stuff coming out for what you're working on. And if people didn't listen to the first episode, they can go back and listen to that. But maybe why don't you give us a quick refresher on what you're doing and what's new and why people should care?
Yeah, I think so. Last time I was on the show, we only had an early alpha out of the Conduit Market.
Yep.
Which is essentially the viewing of the market side of things for NIP99 commerce events across all the different marketplaces. So like any Nostr app, where you're viewing social events that have been, you know, blasted out to the relays, your client is a lens, your take on the view of those social events. So similar with NIP99 marketplaces. What we've done in, I think, what we're now calling the Open Markets Group, or formerly, or maybe still called the Gamma Markets Group, it's up in the air, is we've converged on a spec of how to display product events out in the Nostrverse. And what does that do? Well, that allows any client that uses that same spec to look at an open marketplace, you know, full of product events, and interact with the merchants just through Nostr. So that means I don't have to go to one place to connect with a merchant. It's similar to Nostr. I can go to many different places. I can choose my flavor, choose my mix, and all of us different products. Conduit being one of them, Plebeian being another one, Shopstr being another one, Nostr Boutique. Hisa, the guy named Therese from Africa, is building marketplaces, and there's so many more that I'm leaving out. We're all
Would Take My Sats be one?
Take My Sats is also now headed towards you know, NIP99 enhanced marketplaces, where we're all publishing events to the same product pool, so that a client can now pull it down and display a market whatever way they want them to. And this offers true decentralization, right? It's not just one place that controls the product pool. It's many places. And so we can kind of mix and match compete, cooperate, do whatever you need to do to make a marketplace. You could even make a collection. Like say, Brandon, you're really into blue blocking glasses, and
I am.
like me too.
Yeah.
So that like what the good brands are, which ones are actually doing what they say they're doing. You understand the specs, so and you're passionate about this topic. Well, you could make blue blocking glasses marketplace for Bitcoiners, and gather the right products. Some of them you could be even reselling yourself, or you could just be working with certain merchants. All of this type of stuff. Collectibles are possible. Collections are possible. Collectibles are possible too, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Your own products. You could have an individual store that's just your own Shopify store, but it's now Nostr enabled, or you could have a broad marketplace like Conduit Market, like Shopstr, like Plebeian, that is more trying to do like an Amazon style thing where people can find whatever they need across the Nostr network. This is only possible using these coordinated spec-based protocol technologies. And so, long-winded way of saying, what are we building? Well, since the last iteration, we completely threw out all the old code, reset, refreshed the team a little bit, and have re-released a new alpha. I want to call it beta soon, but we're not quite ready for that yet. But a much better alpha of Conduit Market. We also now have the Conduit Merchant Portal, which is a place for merchants to go and publish products out on the broader network that can be found by any of the spec-compatible clients. And what we're working towards over the summer is making these sort of production ready so that people can actually use these things, use the merchant portal specifically for their business, and that the Conduit Market can be used by anyone to check out products from spec-compatible merchants just using Lightning wallets, Bitcoin, even external wallets if that's what they want. And the goal is by the end of this summer to have that flow really tight such that I can start inviting more people to use the platform and confidently say that they're going to get value for the value that they send these merchants.
Okay, so say I'm just a regular, I'm just trying to lay this all out so we can understand the flow here. So say I'm just a regular Nostr user, or even just a non-Nostr user, but I want to check this thing out, and I'm sure you have the option to just spin up an npub and look at stuff. Like, walk me through the flow. So it's like, okay, I want to come look for products. I come to you. I come to Conduit. What am I going to find?
Yeah, I mean, I might just open up the Conduit Market right here on the side, and have that be my cue to talk here.
Okay, sweet. Quick. Live demo. I think it's the first live demo on the show.
Oh, I mean, I could also share my screen if you really want.
If you want to, go for it. It's totally up to you.
Let's play around with this.
Okay. Breaking new ground here. We're reading off boosts. We're doing live demos.
This is fun.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to put the audio on the fountain here too for this episode. Or the video, excuse me.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Let me split this out so I'm not sharing too much to the entire world.
Yeah, hide all those smut sites you have.
Oh, let's just pull this out here. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Let's
all
go
good.
Share window.
Because I'm curious in the flow here too. So
yeah. So I mean, this will be the page that folks would navigate to. This is shop.conduitmarket. The merchant portal is sell.conduitmarket. So I'll just quickly disconnect here because one of the things you said is I'll connect and then I can see products. You don't need to connect to see the products. You can just view this as a regular anonymous pleb, and this catalog you see here is just kind of gathering of all the NIP 99 events
So
that have been displayed by the different stores. And these are people's NPubs. These, your store is your NPub. So you can scroll through here and see, we've got Take My Sats. We've got Naughty Goat Co. Shout out to Calvadev and his team there. Sync also, yeah, shout out to Noster Boutique. So these are, we got our Oshi store here. Filter just for Oshi's products. We can go to Oshi's actual NPub, his profile. So now his profile, instead of, like you see someone on like their Primal account or whatever that has, their social data. Right now, we have their stores. We'll add social data afterwards because I think it's a good web of trust kind of metric, right? Like, is this merchant for real? Are they actually posting, or is this some bot?
So that was going to be my next question. So say I want some HODL butter. I click on the HODL butter. Does it take me to the website? Does it take me to?
No. So this is directly checking out just completely.
Okay, so it goes
rails.
that. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, so it goes straight into a cart, and then because Oshi's plugged into this, he'll get the payment and the order through whatever he's running on his end, and then he can
Exactly.
then he can package it and get it out like you would any other order.
Right. So he's in this model, he's going to actually get a NIP 17 message. And what we've recently enabled is one of the flows that I wanted to enable was, instead of checkout, we want to do a zap out. Because Oshi already has published his Lightning address on his profile, right? So there's no reason why a marketplace can't generate a total from a cart. So you can see your different carts here, right? We can't have an aggregated cart across NPubs, right? Because it's a peer-to-peer transaction.
Yep.
Conduit actually has no visibility into the transactions that are happening unless people decide to display them publicly.
Maybe I'm getting a little too in the weeds here, but theoretically, I think you could have like zap splits set up for a cart eventually. I'm sure that's down the road, but
we could. One of the things I'm being really careful as we develop this thing is not becoming a money transmitter. Or falling under the legal definition of a money transmitter. So
fair.
Because I
got you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that the Silk Road is kind of like the thing that people always think, are you rebuilding the Silk Road? Well, no, not exactly. Like, first of all, we're focused on legal products, and I'm not interested in going to jail. I don't think anyone developing this technology is interested in going to jail. But also, we're not getting in between the transaction. We're facilitating,
right?
But the money's not even coming towards us. And because everything in Nostr happens client side, or can happen client side if it's properly architected, we actually we don't need to have visibility for all these peer-to-peer interactions, right? They're sending an encrypted event to a relay, NIP 17 message. They're sending a zap directly to someone else's Lightning wallet. We have nothing to do with that. We've just set up the interface that's displayed on a website that enables those things to happen on infrastructure that actually sits outside of Conduit or outside of Shopstr or Plebeian. Again, I want to emphasize, like, we're not the only ones doing this. We're part of a collective, and that's the point, right? I'm not gonna take down Amazon or take down Shopify on my own, right? We need the community to come together and make this sort of infinite bazaar that's happening through NPubs and Lightning wallets and who knows what else, such that if one of us goes down, the market's still alive. The products are still out there on the relays. The NPubs are still controlled by the users. The Lightning wallets are completely separate, right? We're building something that's unstoppable, and the goal here is to make the interface feel like what people are used to. Feel like, oh, this is familiar. Okay, I can make a cart. I can zap out. So let's go a little bit further down the rabbit hole here. Now, in order to zap out right now, we have to connect to Signer because we're going to be sending an order message.
Right.
Now, what's really fun is actually, I don't think this is required, but we'll get to that in a bit. I have a Signer already kind of ready in this browser, so I'll go to my friend Sync, and I won't enter my personal information here on on the live stream, but here after this point, you could send an order. And if my friend Mr. Sink here has his shipping zone set up correctly, my delivery matches his shipping zone, I'm going to allow the user to zap out. So and that just means we're going to have a unilateral transaction. He's going to get an order message and he's going to get the Bitcoin. And the next thing, it's his responsibility to send, hey, I got that, I got your order, I'm fulfilling it and whatsoever.
So the zap out is a super cool feature, but you do need to have a Nostr account to be able to do that, because you're sending from your Nostr, you're zapping from your Nostr account to whoever the merchant is. So is there then just a regular option to just check out and pay a Lightning invoice as well?
There is, yeah, there is.
Okay.
So there's a fallback. So I mean, my dream flow is like 2 clicks, right? You put something in your cart, you've got some kind of encrypted, pre-filled shipping information. It matches, boom, you hit zap out, your Lightning wallet's already connected. You got products coming your way. That's something that I think is gonna, where we have the technology that Amazon doesn't. They can't do 2 clicks. I think we can do 2 clicks, which is ridiculous. But let's say you don't have all those things connected. Well, we can walk them through a flow. And this is the fun part where I said earlier, I don't think you need to be logged in, because we can use an ephemeral npub nsec pair, and then
right,
the order gets sent through that ephemeral. And so now in this case, I want to put guardrails where, okay, now you have to enter an email, you have to enter a phone number so that the merchant can actually contact this ephemeral key. When they go to check out, you just, instead of doing a zap, you display a QR code for a Lightning invoice for anyone to be able to pay on their screen with an external wallet. This actually basically enables a private checkout. Checkout obviously can be private, but we're also, right now we enable 2 lanes. You can do a public zap out or a private zap out. Private makes sense. And I'm not saying, I know there's some contention around what is a private zap? It's like, we did it the right way. Let's get off the Nostr network for that Lightning transaction. You make sure that this is actually private, so you just have a NIP17 between yourself and the merchant. But there's also a fun option for a public zap out, which adds the zap message. So this is like a Venmo type thing where, okay, there's consent on both sides. The merchant's like, I'm cool with people seeing that people are buying from my shop, and the shopper is also saying, I'm cool with people seeing that I bought from this shop. And this goes back to the beginning of our episode. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you might even be at a point where, as a merchant, you'll charge a little less if you do a public zap, because then you're notifying people that someone's buying your product. There could be some game theory there, I guess.
Exactly. This is the logical conclusion. They're getting a free promotion, right? As a shopper, I get to flex. Hey, I bought that great ghee. I bought that beef jerky from BJ. I'm supporting the V4V economy, and I get a little bit of social cred for that, right? Like doing that publicly. That's why people are doing zap snags and stuff. Like this is already happening on Nostr. They just don't have the interface for it. We're just providing an interface. We're providing some structure. We're providing some rails that this can happen in a smooth way. So
well, you give some social credit too, right?
And you give the social credit too.
Exactly.
Give social credit. Yeah, because the merchant now gets essentially free advertising. Mm-hmm. Some of the top zaps, like you said earlier, we're early. There's not a lot of people doing a lot of volume on Nostr. So if I were to check out that Oshi butter right now, and we did a test. Oshi was the first person to do, as far as I can tell, the first person to do a zap out. Me and him worked through it, and I bought Oshi butter on Nostr using a zap with a public zap message. That showed up on that npub that shows the top zaps. So now you can have a feed of the top zaps that is all real commerce happening on Nostr. It might get to the point where people actually have to filter that out so that they can see the social zaps, right? Because a lot of once we get the volume of transactions, the social zaps are going to be all at the bottom, and maybe we want to see the social zaps too. But I want to get to the point where that is a problem. That means we're succeeding. So sorry for everyone when that happens, but
Well, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a way you can filter and that sort of thing. I was laughing because in my mind I was picturing the meme with like the one girl whispering to the other girl, and just something like Lynn Alden bought great ghee as the meme. And I
Yep.
was like, how hilarious would that be? So yeah, you have some big public name that's buying these products from these merchants, and it's like, oh my gosh, this Safedine it buys he doesn't drink, I was going to say Ben's wine, but yeah, Safedine's buying Oshi butter. Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be
Well,
pretty
and
cool
that's a
to
huge
see out there.
promotion,
Yeah.
and also because it's NPub and key pair to key pair, you know that it's for real. It wasn't just made up,
Right.
right? They signed that transaction.
Yeah, it's literally not a paid advertisement. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, all these reads that these advertisers do on their podcast now. It's like, dude, you're never taking kimchi powder. Come on, give me a break here.
yeah, exactly. At least we know they made the order. Did they consume it? We don't have cameras in their house. I hope we never do, but at least we know they made the order. So they're at least putting some skin in the game, and not just getting paid to promote something. Some sats were flowed. I'm sure there's ways to do some scammy stuff, and it's all going to happen eventually, and we'll have to figure out ways to prevent that. But as a
Yeah.
baseline, it's way cooler.
Just as everyone games the YouTube algorithm, they'll game the Noster marketplace
They'll game it.
purchase.
But the sats will be flowing. The sats
Yeah.
will be flowing either way. So
There is a cost to
there's-
game it.
there's a cost to game it, and there's also some risk, right? Like what's Bitcoin's unilateral, right? Like if I send it, I better, and I got some like weird deal with you, I better trust you to bring it back. So there's risk to it. So I think like we have these properties related to what we said earlier. There's these properties about these technologies that make it such that people are for real, right? Because they're taking some kind of a risk whenever you do something that's manipulative. You're taking some kind of risk. Not saying you can't do it, but you're taking risk.
Yeah, I also love the fact that as a merchant, you can just so easily plug into this, and it's like now you have a whole new, which is at Sovereign, what we try to talk to a lot of these business owners about is you're going to have a whole new cohort of buyers that are willing to come and spend money with you, and it's like this is super easy. You don't it if you're at a like a brick and mortar store, and you might have to change POS systems, you might have to get a proper setup in, you might have to advertise it, blah 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 blah. This is like you just plug right in, and then you have all your customers are right there, and you're selling it digitally.
You're already interacting with them.
Yeah. So your
Like
reach is
you're building community in many places, right? Like you're interacting on all the different social apps, and people are into your brand. Not only we talked earlier about the authentic connection, right? But now you can take that work that you've done in one place or in many places and monetize it directly through your products. We were talking to the guys at Fountain a little bit at one point. Many people are looking for a way for podcast hosts or artists to sell merch. Well, they're already connecting to the stuff with their NPub. Why not just have the tooling to be able to check out through a zap the merch right there? That's some exciting tooling that we'd love to be involved with helping facilitate. But again, it doesn't have to be us. It could be anybody. It could be a developer listening right now, just going, oh, I'll go look at the NIP99 spec. I'll go look at the Open Markets spec that sort of is the superpowers on top of NIP99, how we converge on things like checkout and different product properties and stuff like that. And they can make a client right now, or they can reach out to one of their connections right now and make something that facilitates that. There's literally nothing stopping them.
That's that's so cool. And I mean, I would love to just be in a situation where we're talking to a business owner and we come to some terms with them, help them get set up, and then we're like, oh, by the way, just plug in here because you have nothing. It's literally free.
Yeah.
Well, you have some time and you gotta do the actual put your products up there and advertise them, and you'd probably have to do some marketing. But to plug into this, there's just no cost. Like you don't have a contract with Amazon. You're not going to get chargeback stuff that Amazon forces down your throat because they want to keep the suppliers happy rather than the consumer all the time, and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, I envision that being a really cool flow of, okay, we've got you set up on Bitcoin using Bitcoin, now plug into this market and let's see if you can generate some more revenue that way. It's like an instant way to plug into people with Bitcoin to spend the Bitcoin at your store. So like, what would you say has changed from your first iteration to this one? Is it truly all just technical, or has the vision changed? Has the idea changed at all?
I mean, there's been some things added to the vision just because of the tech that's becoming available. You know, we've got people in this awesome open source universe that are constantly publishing, you know, MIT licensed tooling that we can integrate into our feature set. But you know, with that caveat, there really not a lot has changed about the vision, right? Like when I started this a while back, you could kind of see what was possible with these technologies and these properties, and so it was a matter of you know, just putting the pieces together in the right way, and figuring out, you know, what's a real blocker and what's not a blocker, and how to rearrange things from you know, traditional, you want to call it like Web 2 or I like to say legacy, because like their legacy, we're not. How do you put those pieces together into a product? And it's just been changing the architecture, changing our workflow, you know, using AI tools now has been like incredibly helpful for moving fast and developing this, because it's quite a bit of scope. You know, like we're basically saying, you know, we're gonna make something that replaces Shopify and Amazon on Bitcoin and Nostr rails. You're like, okay, well, there's a lot of scope that comes with that to do that properly in such a way that people feel that it's not a janky experience that requires you know, like a super technical mind to use it. So to answer your question a little bit more directly, no, it's just been technical progress that has got us as far as we have, and we've had some great contributors as well. You know, my now co-founder, I'll just say his name is Dylan. He's just been incredible in accelerating our development pace. Yeah, that's all there is to it. We just kind of, something's clicked, and now we're headed the right direction. We have a good architecture to kind of build on top of. We have some improvements to make, but we're headed towards something where I think we actually have a viable product that people want to use, and it does work if people want to use it right now. I'm not fully opening the gates, because the situation that I'm scared of is somebody from the public, or somebody who's a little bit less technical or doesn't understand Nostr and NIP17 messages and different things like that, sends some Bitcoin and doesn't get a product. You know, they're going to blame us, they're going to blame the merchant, and it's probably our fault at that stage where, you know, I don't know, you know, is the message being delivered? Is the merchant, you know, looking at NIP17 messages? Are they on the right relays? Like, I don't want to have that situation where somebody sends Bitcoin and they don't get something, because they're just going to associate this whole movement as being a scam. So the reason the gates are still slightly closed is people's first impression matters a lot, right? If their first impression is scam, that's going to stick with them. We're going to get that reputation. I want to avoid that as long as possible. It's going to happen for some people. Unfortunately, we're going to do our best to recover from that and make things right. But I think I can save a lot of headaches by just making sure that the applications on both sides and in the community in general are ready to sort of receive volume at scale. You know, then we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, that's tough, right? How do you sort of ensure, because that's one of the things, right, that like an Amazon takes on, is they basically ensure you're going to get your product. If you don't, they will refund you, or they will send you a new product, and that's the benefit of or that's one of the things a centralized system can do. So how do you make sure that both sides are being fulfilled while remaining decentralized and not having to do
Right.
anything about it?
And we're taking a completely different posture, which is like, we can set up this interaction, but at the end of the day, this interaction is between you two. So, I have to have very clear terms of service and policies that is the case. But it is still my responsibility to make the interface such that people understand the risk that they're about to take. This is kind of the Wild West. Like I'm setting you up in this strange place where people are selling stuff for Bitcoin. I think it's awesome, but like, am I going to get some random person from the street to just start sending, Bitcoin to merchants through our interface? Like, I got to be careful with that. I got to make sure that the merchants themselves that I'm displaying are reputable. How do I do that while also letting new merchants come on board? These are design challenges that we're constantly thinking of. Right now it's the market is whichever NPub's Conduit Market the NPub is following. That's essentially our whitelist. People are, oh, you're whitelisting. Is it not truly an open market? It's like, hey, look, everything's open source. You can grab our code. You want to change, which merchants are on your marketplace. Please go ahead. Like I encourage you. I cannot see all the merchants on the network. I can't possibly. Like, that's just not how Nostr works. I'm publishing these things such that anyone can do it. I'm encouraging anyone to do it in their own way. Like, Plebeian has their own policies. Shopstr is going to have their own policies. We're also all just going to have our own network of merchants. Like, we're in the States. Plebeian, for example, is in Europe. Like, they're going to have more connections over there, and they're going to be able to vet those merchants. I might be better at vetting merchants in California, for example. Shopstr in other places of the States, or HISA in Africa, right? Like, I don't know any African merchants, like, but they're going to have their lens on the marketplace, and we don't all have to be fully open. Maybe that's a controversial thing to say in these spaces, but like, we all are allowed to have our gardens. Our tool shed's open. You can borrow our tools. You can make your own garden. But then together we can have this sort of decentralized power that we're able to service merchants. And that's why I say, like, I'm not just going to build a shittier version of Shopify and Amazon and expect everybody to come to Conduit. It's like, no, I'm going to build the tools, and we do plan on building a profitable business around this. But I need an ecosystem to service if that's going to be the case. And I can't beat Shopify on my own. I can't beat Amazon on my own. That's just not possible. We need this sort of decentralized movement to happen around open markets, and that's how we're going to win.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through some of the logistics of all of that. It's almost, Amazon is almost more of like a broker, and you're more of like a platform, maybe.
It's hard to make these comparisons because really the technology is fundamentally different.
Yes.
One of the things we talk about a lot, I don't know if this is related, but like, we all have this silent escrow provider, and is it Amazon? Is it Shopify? Is it even your credit card company that you can say, hey, I never got this service, and do a chargeback like that? These are basically silent escrow providers that are just quite frictionless and allow people to buy things that they otherwise wouldn't, because they can't shake the merchant's hands. They don't know if they're interacting with their NSEC because it's through so many intermediaries. And I think that we have to respect those properties in that I can focus on the bad things about that, right? Like, to me, it enables Amazon to ship a bunch of crap products all around the world from questionable places, and it's whoever's paying them the most to get to the top of that list. We don't know what their sorting algorithm is when you do a search, right? And we don't know the incentives behind how that's made. So that's a bad thing. But I can also focus on the good things. It's incredibly convenient, right? I'm pretty much assured that if I don't like a product, I can just send it back. Like, that level of convenience, what it does for the world, absolutely questionable. What it's doing to people and manipulating them, totally questionable. But it's also unquestionable that it's like their logistics is, world class,
Well,
right? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, their logistics is incredible. But the more I think about this, like the reason you go to Amazon, right, is because it's kind of like this product they'll go search all their merchants and then return it back to me, and but you're going to buy through Amazon, and you're in a situation where you're like your product will say, okay, come look for what you're looking for. I'll put you in touch with the right merchant, but then you're just going to go buy from them directly. Like you're almost doing everything Amazon is except the middlemaning part, the like the beak wetting part.
yeah,
So yeah, it's interesting because right, like if I okay, say I wanted a new drill and I go on Amazon and I search cordless drill. I'm sure Milwaukee, DeWalt, a Black and Decker, Craftsman. I'm sure all this stuff is going to pop up, and it's like I can pick any one of those and just do it through Amazon. If I did the same
or
thing,
you'll have 3 or 4 listings of your Amazon Basics drill that'll last 3 days,
4 days. Yeah,
They'll make sure you see that first.
yeah. It won't sink one drywall screw, but
Yeah, exactly.
you'll be able
But
to
it'll be
get it.
$29 and it'll show up in 2 days.
Yeah. But
Sorry, go ahead.
yours is almost well, and of course, like you said, they have people that pay them, so they rank them differently and all that sort of stuff. Yours is just saying, okay, you search these things. Here are the providers in no particular order. What do you want? Now go buy from their website. Go buy from them directly. Don't do it through us. And I think that's sort of the key differentiation piece. That does make
and
it
well,
true
the no particular order thing is an interesting thing to think through because, I think it is our job as an interface maker to give people things in an order that is useful to them, right? So we have data that those providers, maybe they have it, but they're certainly not using it. Like we have the reputation of the merchant. We have even the reputation of the shoppers. This feature, by the way, is not live yet, but we're going to have social features on these marketplaces. You're going to be able to comment and review products from a key pair that people are able to know is real. Right now, when I go to Amazon, I see something that has like 10,000 reviews and it's got like 4.7 stars. I have no idea who those people are. Like, are they real or are they some like, farm with building full of people that are getting paid $5, a month to do, like, I have no idea. I just sort of kind of trust, and I'm never going to look into it. Like, I don't have time for that. I sort of kind of trust that, like, that is a good rating, like, based on the other ratings that I see. Oh, there's more of them, and there's this many stars. Like, but it's completely meaningless data. But with Nostr, we have actually the potential to make this data meaningful. And this is more of a bottoms-up approach instead of this top-down Amazon, like, telling you what's good for you. We have a community of people that have identities, for lack of a better word, that they care about across multiple social apps. Now, putting their reputation on the line when they say something about a product. We also have the ability, if they have published the public zap message, to prove that they have actually bought the product, right? So that data, collecting data is kind of a bad word, but this is, publicly consented to data that we can aggregate and then use that to give an interface so that people can tell on a decentralized free network what is valuable and what is not valuable. And then it's our job as interface makers to display that in an order that is the most useful for the user. And that's what's going to make people come to Conduit versus somewhere else, or that's going to make people come to Plebeian versus somewhere else, is do they feel like we are giving them the network data in a useful format to them, right? And then from there, we can talk about value for value. Like, people appreciate coming to that interface. It's useful to them. Those features might be useful to them. Maybe they're willing to pay for it, right? Same with the merchant side of things. Are we giving them useful tooling that allows them to manage their store on the network then they're gonna pay for that. At least that's what I'm betting on. And but to me, what excites me is as we go through these comparisons, we start to come up with things we realize with this technology, with this substrate, with this foundation. There's things that are possible in this world that are just not even possible in the legacy world, and we're creating that. We're making that happen, and that's the more I talk about it, even just talking to you right now, I'm like, I'm gonna go get to work right after this. And merge some changes. Like, let's do it.
I think one of the things I'm just thinking about that's really cool is on the review front, like you could have a web of trust review where you can see people that you follow. Like that Amazon example you gave, there might be 10,000 reviews. There might be actually 20 people that put a review in there. And you, of course, would value those 20 people's reviews way more. I apologize for this garbage truck.
No worries.
Background. Oh. Okay. Help a little bit. You would value those people's 20 reviews over the other 9,980 reviews all day, but you have no idea. Like, you're never going to find...
I can't find them.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can't find them. You have no clue if they're in there or not. But with the Nostr protocol, to be able to see, be like, oh, Eric liked this product, or someone back to Lynn Alden. Oh, Lynn Alden liked this product. There's actually Lynn Alden. Like, wow,
right.
Okay, there's a ton of value in that, for sure.
I think that's the great irony about these technologies, is that, like, technically it's permissionless, it's open, and it's global. So there's really there's no borders. There's no company deciding who gets to do it. Everyone has kind of like their own lens on an infinite community, and they can make that lens look like whatever they want. That openness ironically creates the incentive for people to make communities, for people to choose products within their community, because you have to look at things like a web of trust. And to me, the irony is that, like, you have this technology that, like, anybody can use, is truly open, borderless, whatever. And so you're like, oh, that's globalization technology. Actually, no, it's the opposite. It's community building technology, because the openness, the properties of the openness actually incentivizes you, or it's in your best interest to actually form communities so that you know who to trust at an individual level. And that's actually beautiful, because this sort of global permissionless technology actually facilitates localization of products, communities, trust, whatever. And then people can go between those communities, and there'll be some people that are bridges between other communities and whatever. But it's like more of a tapestry with, like, these hubs, and that's what I'm really excited to facilitate through these types of technologies.
I am too. I mean, I even think of something like going to a BitDevs meetup. What do we talk? We talk about which hardware wallets we like the best, which software wallets we like the best, which hot wallets we like the best, which Lightning implementation we like the best. Like, and you're basically just distilling this down in a localized community, as opposed to trying to sift through a sea of internet thoughts and comments or whatever, and being able to have that right at your fingertips with Nostr, seeing your web of trust as that sort of validating source for you, and when you're looking for a product. I mean, I would really love that. Like, if I could go on Amazon and was gonna, the amount of times, for example, I had a toilet leak, and took me forever to figure out where it was coming from. I learned so much about toilets through ChatGPT. I did so much work, unnecessary work I didn't need to do, but I actually did it. So I'm actually glad for the learning experience. Turns out at the end of the day, everything I did, it was just a stupid leaky screw in the back of the top. And so then I was like, okay, well, I need to replace this. And I went on Amazon and I searched, like, toilet tank bolt replacement, and I had absolutely no idea what I was looking. There were just 8 million choices, and I was like, I have no clue. I don't even know if this one will work in here. This one says universal. I'm like, I would have done anything to just have like 5 people in your web of trust said this one works.
Yeah.
Like instead, I just kind of randomly picked one. Like I was just like, I guess I'll see. I don't know. And
Yeah.
that would have been so valuable to me.
I mean, the screw is probably out there, and I'll just, props to Amazon for probably having it in their network somewhere. But they are also they've isolated you from your friends on their platform because, as much as I would love to be, Brandon, I'm not going to be your friend on Amazon. I'm not. I don't have
Why
any
not?
friends on Amazon.
Dude, I thought we were tighter than that, man. Come on.
Is that even a feature? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought we were Amazon friend material here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be. I just don't even know where the friend button is.
Oh, yeah. We'll see if Bezos will make one.
Yeah, maybe they'll listen to this conversation and they'll realize, oh shit, like if I don't enable these features, like the Nostr people, they're coming for me.
Jeff, if you're listening, give us Amazon friends.
Yeah, we want it. It's probably there somewhere, like just under some goofy follow this person, whatever. But like no one uses that. It's not, and also like, because of these silos, like, I have like, I'm only on Nostr, but like if I imagined if I had 8 different social accounts to manage, like Amazon would be pretty low on my list. Unfortunately, because I might want to help you with some bathroom screws, but this like top-down mentality, this sort of like what's the word where they're just trying to direct what you do and like, oh, I know what's best for you, like I'll just just trust us, we'll
what it is
to you.
It's a command control marketplace.
Exactly. Right, and they've isolated us, and it's kind of how they want us, right? Because then they can extract value from us in that way. Well, something else is coming for them. We have this incredible social technology now layered, integrated with Bitcoin. That is, I think, a lot of people say, Odell said at one point, Bitcoin's more important than Nostr. I'm not going to argue with that, but I do know that Bitcoin could sure use some help from a technology like Nostr to proliferate, and there's nothing better to do it. They're like yin and yang to me.
If you, like I was saying earlier, if you can plug a business in to something like this and they see increased revenues, like, I mean, that's period, end of story. Like if you have a pitch, because going to a business and trying to pitch them Bitcoin and, hey, this is going to help your company out a lot in 10 years. You need to understand it. I have to explain all this stuff to you. It's a ton of work. But if you can just go up to a business and be like, hey, there's a marketplace you haven't plugged into, and you will 100% get more revenue than you're getting today. That's a guarantee. Like, that's the only
free money.
You don't have to tell them it's Nostr. You don't have to tell them it's Bitcoin. Nothing. Just there is more revenue if you go plug into a system. Are you interested? Like,
yeah, I mean, 100%. You shouldn't even say Nostr and Bitcoin.
No, exactly.
Like you shouldn't have to say it. That's definitely a design goal. Is like one day, and I don't think it's actually that far off. Regular folks could be able to look at the marketplace and not even know what the underlying rails are. Of course, settlement's going to be in Bitcoin. There's no better technology for that. Of course, Nostr is going to be available. There's no better social technology. But if you've done a good job with your design, I constantly think about this, it should basically be invisible. You could display fiat prices. People could even, check out with somebody like, I think it's a Blink wallet that enables, fiat to Bitcoin, send the Bitcoin as a zap. I'll let them deal with, being the money transmitter. I don't want to get involved with that, but there's no reason why I can't integrate them. All of a sudden you have this like fiat looking marketplace that has all these interesting properties. It feels a little different. People don't really know what's going on underneath, but it's interesting. They don't even know they're using Bitcoin. They don't even know they're using Nostr. It's like that. Then we're going to win, right? Because then they're going to be like, oh, okay, what's going on here? Well, yes, I want a profile. Yes, I want to zap people. What are these things called? Sats. Like, I want some of that. Why are people getting these special internet points and I'm not getting them? Like, how? Oh, I just got to connect. What's a lightning wall? Oh, what's Bitcoin? All of a sudden, they got a PhD in Austrian economics and their laser eyes coming out of the back of their heads. Just like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm currently talking with a couple of folks from Square here in Chicago, and they don't even they think it's very cool, and I've introduced them to the Fork and Coin, the restaurant, and the collective, and that we're using the Square terminal. But like at the end of the day, they were just like, how do I get more terminals in front? Like that's their job, right? How do I sell more Square terminals? And they're like, oh, this is an avenue for us to sell more Square tools, Square terminal, is to have these Bitcoin tools on the terminal and then plug into this community. Like that's the hook. It just more sales. Like that's it. And then you can kind of explain the Bitcoin Nostr side of things later, because at the end of the day, that is all business owners care about. And let's be honest, that's what we're doing, trying to run businesses, right? Is generate revenues. So if someone's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really glad you're saying that, because I think sometimes we get caught up in these moralizations of
Purity
the technology,
test.
The purity test, and that's not really doing us any favors. Look, I'm happy that the purity test people are out there, because they're almost like a little immune system. But sometimes we've got like an autoimmune disease where it's like we're not letting anyone in. So I didn't come up with that, by the way. I think it was Avi Burra that said that, and maybe he was getting it from someone else. But we have to meet people where they're at, and like you said, like people are motivated, by making profit. That's not a bad thing. Like that's in fact,
literally
part
capitalism.
of all of our. Yeah, it's literally capitalism. It's like part of all of our collective philosophies that a lot of the the Bitcoin foundations are built on, is free market, truly free market capitalism. And we get into these weird like moral debates and you're not using it right and this and that. It's like, look, if we just meet people where they're at, give them the power to control their identity, to direct their money with minimal intermediaries, like we're winning. Let's head in the directions. Like not everybody needs to have like the perfect setup in order to like be let into the moral club. Like let's just help people make profits. Like just make a better product. We have a better substrate. Like come on.
I couldn't agree more. The Bitcoin and Nostr stuff is just a bonus. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, like if you went to your if you're sort of a purity test person or whatever, and you go to your grocery store and you pay with your credit card or you pay with cash, like are you allowed to do that? Like but
you can't eat. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Well, but at the same time, you're like, okay, this is a grocer retailer that is selling a product and they're trying to make money, and that's what they're doing here. And I'm glad they're trying to make money, because now I have groceries. And so I find the purity test moral what's the word I'm looking for? Moral lambasting, if you will.
Yeah.
It just endlessly tiring.
Well, and a lot of it is I hesitate to say this because I don't want to come at people in a way that, but whatever. If the people that are moralizing are being honest with themselves, they're probably using fiat in some area of their lives, whether they want to or not. And like, that's just the world we live in right now. And we're not going to get, sadly, exactly. But if we deny that, if we pretend like that's not real, it's not going to get us closer to the promised land. Like, we have to acknowledge kind of like what we're dealing with here. Like, to me, obviously I'm talking a lot of shit about Amazon, Shopify, and all these fiat sort of platforms and how they're treating people. But like, it's not too useful to do that. It's also useful for me to acknowledge that like these are the final bosses. Like, what have they done that is like incredible engineering, incredible user interface? There's a lot of good people that work at these companies, that are really, really smart and have done hard work over years. They're there was no Amazon before. They were the first people to make something like that. Like, I have to acknowledge, it's more useful for me to acknowledge the hard work and the incredible engineering and everything that goes behind that, and why people are actually still using that, and why, you know, they've been able to sort of bring billions of people under this umbrella, than it is for me to go, oh, well, you know, it's not as cool when they're manipulating you and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, they are, but like, and yeah, we are way cooler, but I need to make an interface that competes with that for the people that just don't give a shit about that. Like, we need to make this technology so good, and I do believe it has the potential. I do believe these foundations are much better, but we need to make it so good that, like, the freedom that they get by using it is like a bonus that they don't even know that they're getting until they have it. Like, those are the design goals that we should all be aspiring to, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I have long held that UX is going to be the key to adoption. If I could hand my mom a phone and just say, download this app, you're using Bitcoin now, she would easily do it. Like, and listen, to my mom's credit, she has a hardware wallet and she knows how to buy on an exchange and send to the wallet, and so she's way ahead of other people. But like, it took a while and it took a lot of convincing and helping. But if you just had a thing where it was like, download this one thing, it works like Venmo, you're now using Bitcoin.
Yeah. Boom.
So many more people will be doing it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably trade-offs that come with that, but I care more about vectors, or what direction we're going, rather than, you know, where the perfect destination is. I want to head towards that perfect destination. But if I can get like someone to use Bitcoin a little more, someone to use Nostr a little more, in a way that, you know, may require some short-term trade-offs, as long as I'm like steering them in the right direction, and we continue down that path, we don't just stop and turn and do some weird, you know, fiat bullshit trade-off. Like, I think we're doing good. Now, some people probably debate that point. There's discourse to be had there, and you know, I'm open to it. But, you know, I think a good example of what happened recently with Wisp, the Wisp client. You know, shout out to UTXO. You know, he's taken a stance where it's like he wants to make it as easy as possible for people to, like, you know, download and use the app and start, you know, using the technology. And people, I think, gave him shit for disabling NIP46 signer. You know, you can question that decision, but like, I think the purpose behind that decision was more of like, you know, I have to talk to him about it, but like, more of an exercise to see, like, can we get more people, more normies on Nostr, and not have these little things that like sort of scare them away. You know, is it right to shut out the OGs from, you know, that are using NIP46? Hey, maybe it's not right, but like, you know, it's an open network. Go use something else. He's trying something, right? Like, I never see these things as negative. Yeah, exactly.
Use a different one. Yeah. Well, now we're back to the purity tests again.
Yeah, exactly. We could circle around this topic for a whole hour.
Yeah, I mean, you have 9 other clients you can use. Like, give it a rest.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know if my bar is too low, or some people might think my bar is too low for what is considered a Nostr client. But like, if I have unilateral exit, like, you know, you're not messing with my keys, and I have the ability to broadcast to many relays, I think that largely covers, to me, what is the bar for a Nostr client. Now, I want other properties because I want to know that I'm reading, you know, from many relays, from my relays that I've said I want to read from. I want to be, you know, knowing that someone can't intercept messages. Like, there's things that I want, but at the end of the day, the true essential things are like, can I take my keys and go somewhere else? And are my messages reaching the broader network, right? So that people can see me, talk to me, and, you know, direct me where I need to go if things aren't, if I'm actually being manipulated. So I can, like, can I exit, and can I know to exit? I think that's what it comes down to.
I would tend to agree. So, all right, Eric, well, we're coming up on like an hour 15 here. Anything else you want to get to before we go?
Am I allowed to plug a podcast on a podcast?
Please, absolutely. Go for it.
We're myself and my friend Sink have started a podcast around this open markets movement, and the goal is to sort of just spread awareness about what we're doing on NIP 99 based marketplaces. So for anybody, maybe like listening to me or getting to know this movement for the first time, NIP 99 is basically the Craigslist spec on Nostr. It's very simple. Allows you to post something, an offer of something for something, basically like a newspaper ad. And what our little group of misfits has done is add superpowers on top of that, and that is called Gamma Markets, or now the Open Markets Foundation. And so we have a podcast now called the Open Markets Podcast. Check that out. It's supposed to be educational. We're bringing on guests. We're talking about the issues and the developments that are happening in this universe that you might have heard me reference a bunch of times here. And I think it's a good place for people to start diving down the rabbit hole. And if you're interested in contributing, in participating, we have a group that's there for you, especially if you're a developer. You're more than welcome to dive in and start building with us.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want to find out more about this stuff, check out Open Markets, the podcast. Check out what is it? Shop.conduit Market?
Yeah, I mean, we have a landing page, just conduit.market. And from there,
okay.
You can go in the top right corner, shop or sell, and that'll lead you to shop.conduit market, which is the marketplace side of things, sell.conduit marketplace. If you want to start messing around as a merchant, again, not actively promoting the merchant side of things, working with select merchants as alpha beta testers, but that's coming soon. We're slowly opening the doors but free to use the technology. I encourage you to try and give us feedback. DM me, Nostr, or go to our GitHub and start putting in issues. This sucks. I want to see an improvement there. Like, we're open to all of it.
Nice, yeah. And on Nostr, Eric FJ, and any non-Nostr places people can find it? Cool. Hey,
you could email me, but
yeah,
I'm gonna have to change that at some point to have a broader reach. But I decided to go all in a while back, and so I think focus is important as well.
I have a LinkedIn profile from my Fiat days that's just still up, but other than that, I'm Nostr only as well. So we do have a company account on X, Sovereign BTC, SOVREIGN, and the best place is always to get a hold of us is just come to the website, SOVREIGN, sovereign.io, and just reach out to us that way. We're happy to get in touch with you. So, Eric,
and
really
boost the Sovereign podcast. You're
boost the Sovereign podcast. I'll make sure to read you out. And by the way, apologies to all those that didn't make the last 8 episodes but have zapped me or boosted me and this podcast before. I thank all of you, and I promise your contributions to the V4V economy will be noted going forward. So, Eric, thank you so much for hopping on with me today. Right before July 4th, everyone else is checked out, probably staring into the weekend. I appreciate you hopping on here to do a rip with me. So,
of course, my pleasure, and you're doing great work, man, promoting all these movements and the guests you're having on. So, I think the people that did zap you, they were getting value, but I appreciate what you're doing moving forward. So, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man, and thank you for the kind words. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Cheers.